We will bring to order the Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Adjustment. The time is now 6:14, and we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the City of Tempe Board of Adjustment meeting. The City Tempe Board of Adjustment is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe zoning ordinance. Its function is to grant relief where literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance would result in an unnecessary property hardship, to interpret provisions of the zoning ordinance, which is variances, and to hear appeals from any person or city official aggrieved the decision of a person responsible for the enforcement of the zoning ordinance, which would be the zoning administrator or the hearing officer for abatements. The board has the City of Tempe Community Development Staff Summary Reports. We also have the information filed by the appellant on this item, and that is being considered at the meeting, and we will use those reports in the appeal in our deliberations. Instructions to the applicants or interested citizens that may be here. When your request is called or when you wish to address the board, please make sure that you have filled out one of the citizens' request forms, which are located two places, by the table out by the doors, and there's also some up here on the counter. We would ask that you fill that out before you speak. Step to the microphone and state your name and city of residence. You will submit that form to the staff if you want to speak. I'm going to go through some staff introductions. We have Jeff Tamilovich, Director for Community Development here in the audience. Drew Yoakum, Deputy Director for Community Enhancement is here. Lily Drosos, Planner from Community Development. Michelle Dalkey, who is a Principal Planner and also staff to the board. We have Jennifer Daniels, an Administrative Assistant. Maylene, if I get this incorrect, I apologize. Maylene Pankowitz, close, who's also a Principal Planner. And last but not least, we have nobody else other than Jason, our technical guy here, who's helping us out tonight. So that's the staff. We're going to do a roll call vote. We're just going to start at the right-hand side. Say your name, and we'll go right down the table. Go ahead and start.
Mary Foy. Kaylee Palmer.
Vice Chair Morrow.
Jack Confer.
Ron Kegi.
Ricky Gaines.
Thank you very much. We have a quorum. We can proceed tonight. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from November 29th of 2023.
I apologize for interrupting. We still have our
we have
member
somebody
on.
online. I apologize.
Brett Siegel as well.
I apologize, Board Member Siegel. It slipped my mind. Thank you very much. We have a full board tonight at 7. If I can get a motion for the approval of minutes from November 29th of 2023, I'd appreciate it.
So moved.
And can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion, any changes to any of those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes from November 29th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
One abstention.
One abstention. Board Member Gann? Thank you. Okay, and the next item on our agenda is item number 2. This is the request to appeal the hearing officer's November 7th, 2023 decision to approve the abatement request for appeal number, case number CE 230356. The property is located at 1895 East Hayden Lane. The appellant is Lane and Knock PC. And I believe we have the homeowner here to present the appeal to the board. And I believe that is Glenn, is it Kylie? Glenn, if you can, do you have counsel here to represent you? Please step up and present your appeal. And I just want to ask one clarifying, thank you for being here tonight. So we did receive a notice of appearance from your attorney who actually sent the letter to us.
Excuse me, yes. I live in Australia, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. So
So So is your attorney still representing you in this matter?
No, I'm representing myself now.
Okay, very good. Please proceed.
Yeah. Board members, my name's Glenn Coley. Obviously, I'm the property owner in Tempe. I'm actually a resident of Australia, not a resident of Tempe.
Okay.
So the property is owned in my LLC, Rybeck Investments, and it's a property that I acquired in August 11 of 2023. And the basis of my appeal tonight is that I was given insufficient notice and insufficient time to address the code compliance issues. I received the final correction notice on October the 10th. It was dated October the 5th, and it stated that it's the final correction notice, but actually it was the only correction notice I received. And on that basis, it gave me 10 days to address the multiple code violations. Obviously, I admit the code violations are present, or were present, and they were, I'm not sure if you've seen the file, but they're quite extensive. And I was given 12 days to address the issues. So the site re-inspection occurred on the 19th of October, and then on the 7th of November, the abatement hearing was conducted. So it's quite unreasonable to expect in 10 days for me to address all those issues that were pointed out on the code compliance. I think previously there were a number of violation notices given, but they were to the previous owner, and I was completely unaware of any issues until October the 10th, sorry. So, the basis of my appeal was basically that it was impossible to correct the issues that were the code compliance issues in the allocated time, and then obviously the abatement followed, and I should have been given, as now has occurred, it was 60 days from the notice I was given to the correction of all the issues which have been addressed now. So if I had been allowed sufficient time, or given correct notice and sufficient time, that the abatement proceedings wouldn't have been required.
Very good. So your hearing officer, you got notice of the hearing though that occurred?
No official notice. I spoke to Andreas, who said that it was on November the 7th. I didn't have anything in writing, and actually, I apologise. I planned on attending, but actually got the dates mixed up, so I missed it by one day.
Good. Anything else to add to your appeal, sir?
Well, from my understanding, I've been a previous property owner in Phoenix, and there was some code violations for landscaping issues, and we were given 3 notices and sufficient, I think it was 30 days each notice to address the issues. So from my understanding of the process of code violations and addressing the issues, I think 10 days was probably a fairly unreasonable amount of time. I realised that the property had been, since January, I think, of 2023, had been issued with notices, but that was to the previous owner, and obviously I had nothing to do with that. I only had possession since the August 11th. So if correct notice procedure had been given, I had been given three notices with sufficient time, then the abatement proceedings wouldn't have been required.
I didn't quite hear you. You said you took possession when?
August the 11th.
Thank you.
At foreclosure auction, trustee sale. I was the lender and had to foreclose, and the property reverted to me at auction.
I'm sorry, what was the date you said on that?
August the 11th, 2023.
Board, does anybody else have any questions for the appellant? Please.
Mr. Kiley, I just am trying to understand. So you live in Australia. Where did you find out about the notice? Who receives the mail?
It goes to a post office box. I was actually here at the time in October. I came across in September to try and address the issues because receiving it at foreclosure, a trustee sale, I had no idea who the tenants were, if they were vacant properties, if they were, what condition they were in.
So is that PO box regularly monitored?
Fairly regularly, yeah. Yeah, I got, well, probably weekly when I'm here. Yeah.
Thank you.
If the committee were to grant this relief for you, what are your intentions on that property?
Well,
And what time frame?
it's been cleaned now. December 7th, the tenant was removed. We came to a mutual agreement where I paid him to leave and clean up the mess. And so he left on December 7th, and December 14th, I requested for Andreas to re-inspect it and to see if it was in compliance. And from my understanding, I spoke to Andreas today, and I believe that it's in compliance with all the codes now. All the violations have been addressed.
Chair Conifer, I have a question if I may.
Please.
Mr. Kiley, who's your listed statutory agent for the LLC?
I think it is, I haven't checked, it's changed a few times. Current one, is it T. Jill Swinehart? I think, I couldn't tell you offhand.
Do you know if they received notice of the violations or the hearing?
The violations or the hearing?
Either.
No, I don't think they did. No.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question, please.
Mr. Kiley, is the property, let's see, it was, you said the tenant moved out in December, it's currently January. Is your intention to lease the property to a new tenant, or is it currently occupied, or is it currently vacant?
I'm trying to rehab it to a condition where I can lease it out to a new tenant.
Okay. But it's currently just not occupied by anybody at the moment?
Not occupied, no.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry,
Please.
we're to understand that the property has been cleaned up now?
Yes.
You didn't by any chance bring any pictures or anything that we could see?
No, Andreas was there today taking photos.
Any other questions from the board at this time? Thank you. We're going to have a staff presentation, and then we'll bring you back up to rebut any of that or answer any other questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Who is presenting today? Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll state my name for the record, Lily Drosos, planner with the City of Tempe Community Development Department. This item is an appeal of the November 7th, 2023 hearing officer's decision to approve the abatement of public nuisance items.
Is that not working? Is it turned on?
There we go. So the property is located at 1895 East Hayden Lane, south of University Drive, and on the east side of McClintock Drive in the R4 multifamily residential district. This request was heard at the November 7th, 2023 hearing officer meeting. Andres Lara Reyes, code inspector, gave the following overview of case CE 230356 to the hearing officer at that meeting. Staff had requested the approval to abate public nuisance items at the property for the removal of inoperable and unregistered vehicles, removal of junk and debris from the property. The case was initiated January 17th, 2023 for junk and debris, inoperable and unregistered vehicles found on the property, and individuals using an RV as a dwelling unit. There were 2 complaints that were submitted to the Code Compliance Division, but multiple have been filed with the Tempe Police Department. 3 citations were issued, and the property owner did not pay the fees and they were sent to collections. The inspector then presented photos to the hearing officer that were taken the day of the hearing, November 7th. These additional photos are included in the staff report attachments, page 51 through 57. Oh, and then lastly, hearing officer McDonald approved the 180-day open abatement request found in CE 230356. Drew Yoakum, Deputy Director of Community Enhancement, has additional details regarding the events that took place on the property.
Good evening, Chair Confer and members of the board. My name is Drew Yoakum, and I'm the Deputy Community Development Director here with the City of Tempe over the Community Enhancement Division. Just a couple of quick comments I'd like to make about this case. First off, we did have a code compliance inspector on site today, and we can confirm that the property has been brought into compliance. That being said, we are still moving forward with the approval of the hearing officer's decision for a 180-day open abatement due to the public health and safety concerns that have transpired during the course of this case. As mentioned, this case was brought to our attention back in January, and for the first 8 months, we were dealing with a separate property owner. But when ownership changed in the month of August, this was brought to our attention by Tempe PD due to a lot of criminal activity that was taking place. I have separate dates and times if you or any of you have questions or interested in what Tempe PD had to do at that property. But for us, once that was brought to our attention, then we issued a new final notice of violation to the new property owner. Then we also, after that, issued a notice of intent to abate to the property owner that identified that the hearing officer was going to take place on November 7th. Also, prior to the hearing officer on October 17th, Inspector Andres Lara Reyes spoke with Mr. Glenn Kiley on the phone, explaining the process, explaining the violations on sites, and made the comments that were understood by the property owner that if it was brought into compliance prior to the October 7th hearing officer meeting, the hearing would not have to take place. The following week, on October 23rd, we re-inspected the property again. I found that no progress had been made, had another conversation with the property owner on the phone, making the same comments that if this property is brought into compliance, we wouldn't have to go to the hearing officer on the following week. Again, no progress had been made, verifying that on October 7th, so we proceeded with the hearing. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Please.
So can you help me understand? So how does it work if the property is brought into compliance to still have an open abatement? Is it just in case it goes back into non-compliance, or
Yes.
how does that work?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So the reason we ask for a 180-day open abatement with some of these types of cases is because we want to make sure that the property stays in compliance, especially when it has such a track record of violations, as well as the concerns that we had with Tempe PD and the public health and safety issues for the community.
Got it. Thank you.
I wonder if perhaps we should find out a little bit about what went on with Tempe PD. The question, something here just doesn't gel right with me. So perhaps you can clarify some of that.
Sure. So I have a list of dates provided to me by Tempe PD. For the sake of this case, I'm only going to talk about ones that took place after ownership had changed. Starting with on September 27th, 2023, Tempe PD went to the property at 1895 East Hayden Lane, where multiple suspects were arrested at the property for charges involving weapons, illegal weapon possession, the possession of sale and drugs, conducting fraudulent schemes to steal money from local victims using title loans, fraudulent vehicle titles, fraudulent IDs created with stolen personal identifying information as well. Excuse me. Then on October 28th, police were dispatched to the property again for an attempted sexual assault violation. And then they were dispatched again on December 5th, 2023 for receiving information that a suspect selling stolen items, including stolen auto parts, was living out of the backyard of the property illegally. And then the following day, on December 6, 2023, Tempe Police and Tempe Fire had to respond to the property for a fire that had broken out in the backyard.
Thank you.
I kind of have a follow-up
Please.
question. So if we uphold and there's the open abatement stays open, the property owner is not charged unless you have to go out and abate something. Is that correct?
Correct. So as of right now, we have no reason to go back to the property and conduct anything. So there's no further penalties, violations, or fines. The approval of the 180 days is just to help us ensure and work with the property owner to make sure for the next 6 months it doesn't fall back into violation.
Thank you.
Deputy Director Yoakum, your comment there will be no further fines or citations or anything. Has there been penalties or anything that this homeowner's had to pay thus far?
So thank you for that clarification. At this time, the current property owner, no. The previous property owner had received 3 civil citations.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So we're to understand then, the current property owner, this is merely to ensure that the property is going to stay cleaned up and everything, but he's not going to be charged with any fines or anything like that?
That is correct. As long as compliance is maintained, it should be fine.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for the clarification. Just one more on that subject. So the 3 citations that were issued, subsequent fines were not paid, so they've gone to collections. So just as a general understanding, what does Tempe do now? Who's responsible to collect those fines that were assessed through the court?
Yeah, so the courts actually uses a collection agency that will issue that. I think they have somewhere between 30 and 60 days to pay it. If not, it goes to a collection agency to collect separately.
Thank you.
And just any other questions from the board? Board Member Siegel, I don't want to forget about you again. Do you have any questions, sir?
I don't. I actually, one quick one. Was notice sent to the statutory agent?
Thank you, Mr. Siegel. No notice was sent to the statutory agent. We use the statutory agent when we issue citations or fines.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
Okay, we're going to have, thank you for that. Robert's Rules of Orders. Do I have to get a motion now? Who's my Robert Rules of Order expert? Question-
Mr. Chairman, are you done deliberating then? Are you ready for a motion regarding the appeal request?
In my memory, my process that I remember is that we usually have the appellant, after the staff has presented, come up and rebut or add anything to the record. But I think Robert Rules actually, because the question's been called, actually mandates a motion and a vote. So we'll do that and see what happens, and then ask the appellant if he wants to come up. Is there a motion on this matter at this point in time? Hearing none. Let's ask Mr. Kiley to come up, please. And I am by no means an expert in Robert's Rules. But I do have some attorneys on the board that can help us out if necessary. So, sir, please proceed. Anything you want to add to the record? Any questions? Anything like that? I'm not going to answer questions, but anything you want us to consider before we finalize this?
No, everything that's been detailed is correct. I'm not denying. I mean, it was just a nightmare. The tenant was unbelievably bad. It was just that I had to go through the legal process. He obviously had rights as a tenant, so I had to go through the legal process to remove him, which takes time, probably the minimum notice and eviction process, plus he has right of possession of his property for 21 days, so it would have taken at least probably 32 days. So in the end, we came to a mutual agreement, which actually got him out quicker. We paid for him we paid $4,000 for him to go and take all his stuff with him. So in the end, it worked out probably a quicker, better solution for everyone.
Talk to the Board of Adjustment about what do you see as is there a deleterious effect that you see with a 6-month open abatement on your property?
No, not really. I mean, I wasn't totally aware of the legal process of what it all entailed, so I have no problem keeping the property clean for 180 days. It's not an issue. So it's just more I think the process the end point, the process that it went through to get to the end point, I don't think was probably justified. I think I got the end result of the previous owner rather than being given the full process and the full time to work through the issues, which I think I was capable of doing, which in the end result I was. So I just don't think the whole thing was really just a complete waste of time and effort by everyone.
Very good. I was certainly happy to hear that the property is taken care of and cleaned up as
So am I.
of today. So do appreciate that. Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll close this portion of the appeal. I believe we ask for, see if there's any public comment. Anybody want to address the board from the public? Anybody, do I have any forms turned in? Hearing none. We'll close the proceeding and chat with the board, see if we have a motion. We have an appeal in front of us, so we have to decide either to accept that appeal or deny the appeal. The effect of the denial of the appeal, I believe, is we have a 180-day abatement, open abatement in process. Board,
I'm ready to make a motion. unless-
please.
I move, just, I guess maybe to explain a little bit, Mr. Kiley seems open and willing to have the open abatement on his property to keep it clean. So I move to deny the appeal.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second by
Siegel.
Board Member Siegel. Thank you very much. To deny the appeal. We're going to do a vote. All in favor of the motion to deny the appeal, signify by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there
Aye.
any, thank you. Board Member Siegel, got you. Is there any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. So the board moved to deny the appeal. And that open abatement will be in place for 6 months. And Mr. Kiley, thank you so much for coming down today. Thank you for getting that cleaned up. And I don't know, maybe there's an opportunity for you to talk with staff about after 3 months getting that removed. I don't know, but please chat with them, okay? And that brings to conclusion our agenda tonight, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, there's one more
Oh.
item, the chair and staff updates and announcements, if you have any, sir.
I apologize, I've lost my agenda on the computer. Do we have any? Item 3 on our agenda tonight is updates, staff updates, announcements. Michelle, do you have any announcements from the staff perspective?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not.
Any board members have any announcements?
I have a question.
Please.
A question for staff. Do we anticipate having any more appeals or a hearing case for next month?
At this time, we don't believe we'll have a meeting in February because we don't have any variances or appeals in the books right now.
Very good. I only have one item. Welcome to our new board member. We appreciate it. Look forward to working with you in the future. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Good night.